I'm Paul Sims, and I'm here today with
Josh Lieb.
And Brad Isaacs.
And Brian Kelley.
And so this is four of us writers from the show, and in other commentaries we've talked a lot about how real-life events ended up inspiring episodes, and this one is the ultimate example of that, perhaps.
We're still sorry, Paul.
This is going to be like a therapy session for all of us, I think.
I hope so.
There was this was sometime around the early part of season 2. We were all very tired.
I wasn't tired.
You were well. You had just started, I believe.
It was like my third day.
Yeah.
And Brad and I had worked together since Larry Sanders, but at this time we weren't really seeing eye to eye, especially on not on this script, but on a script that we were working on before we wrote this script. And Brad had a bad weekend, I'd had a bad weekend, whatever. So usually at the show, everyone hung out in my office, and that day, who was hanging out in my office? Brad?
Me?
The
Brad.
three of us.
Was it just the three of you?
It was after a run-through.
Was it just
No,
the three
it
of
was.
us?
I think it was in the morning before the run-through.
Was it?
Maybe Lou might have been there.
Yeah, I think Lou was there. I think it was in the morning before run.
Was it? Okay.
Or, I don't remember.
Anyway, so they were all just hanging out in there, and
Basically, we and I'm embarrassed to say, I think I was leading the charge, bitching about Paul, and I really don't even remember what it was
I don't know. Yeah,
about.
it was Brad would say, "Oh, this is this script and what's going on with this and that," and just bitching about the
kind
boss.
of doing the honorable thing of bitching behind somebody's back,
Yeah.
which always makes you really proud.
Yeah.
But the only problem is they weren't aware that I was in an adjoining room taking a nap, and I woke up and overheard the whole the whole thing. And
Then he walked out, and I felt like just about as stupid and backstabbing as I'd ever felt in my entire
well, the
life.
only reason I walked out is because I was lying there, and I woke up and I heard you guys, or you specifically, Brad, bitching about me.
Yeah, man, I didn't say a thing.
And I thought I could either stay in here. I can stay in here and pretend I never heard it, and maybe they'll go away. But then I started thinking, what if this just keeps going and he starts saying worse and worse stuff? I don't even want to hear it. So I came out and I said something very witty.
No, you said...
No. Go ahead, Josh.
No, Brian, you remember.
If you're going to bitch about someone, at least make sure they're not sleeping in the other room.
That was the line. Yeah.
Take that, fellas.
And then the rest of us just sat there in silence while you went to your desk and sat down. All four of us in the room for complete silence for a few minutes, and then we all left.
And I remember Brian, it was like Brian's third day of work, and Brian hadn't really been saying anything, but when Brad was like, "Oh, what is Paul doing? This script way too long." Brian, I do remember him making noises like, "Yeah," just very non-committal, not disagreeing, not agreeing.
Want
Just
to be part of the group.
yeah, I just knew it worked. He thought maybe that's how things went. I do remember looking at Brian. I literally saw all the blood drain out of Brian's face when I walked out.
And there's not that much blood there.
No,
to
there
begin
isn't.
with.
Already he's very white.
Yes.
To be fair, if we could move on to a different topic, because I'm still just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And,
So,
Although Brian was quiet, I don't know if you heard this, Paul. He kept saying, "Let's kill him." Let's kill
really?
him.
See, that's the thing. The door was
quietly.
closed, so I couldn't get all the details. So, anyway, ultimately, as we'll see later in this episode, we took a painful and embarrassing experience for all of us and turned it into an episode. I'm trying to remember what happened later that day. I remembered later that day, after everyone sort of disappeared from my office, and I think I was getting in my car, and didn't you come up to me at the parking lot, and weren't you the first person to address the incident?
I don't recall.
I think you were. I think you walked up and said, "Hey, it's just, bitching about the boss. It's just what people do." And I said, "Okay." I'm making myself sound like I got over it much faster than I did.
It was horrible. As low as I felt, and it's probably one of the lowest moments of my life. I cannot imagine how low you must have felt.
Yeah, I did.
Horrible.
I did feel pretty bad.
Well, just to put it in a little bit more perspective, when that incident happened and when this show that you're watching actually was made, is probably about half a year. So
is that true? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It is true.
It probably was stewing around there a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, Who could blame you?
No. What precipitated the bitch session?
I remember. It was we had been at Brad's house over the weekend. Everyone but Paul.
I remember that.
true.
Paul, I guess, was on a date or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure he's still in the right somehow.
I think he was at the magazine stand.
Anyway, so we were all at Brad's house, and we rewrote the script in exactly the way that Paul didn't want it rewritten.
Was this the Ritter script?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was something that.
Brian.
No. So anyway, so we came in, we gave it to Paul. We did spend all Saturday rewriting it, gave it to Paul, and then Paul basically switched the script back to the way he did want it.
Right.
Yeah, so
And then we came
but
in.
there was one other factor, which was I don't think you guys wrote the second act. I think you just when you gave me the script, you said we rewrote the first act in the opposite way of what you wanted, and also here's how the second act might go. Here, who knows?
You're a professional, Paul. We gave you an outline. I mean,
Yeah.
what was the
That's right.
problem? Right?
What more could be wanted?
We were outraged. That's what I recall.
I don't. Josh, were you bitching in the
I must have been. I'm sure I was. I remember myself. Yes, I was right.
If not Josh, then basically, Paul, it's just me ranting.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, we gotta involve some other people here. I'm just gonna be a complete jerk.
I was like backing off here because Paul seemed to not remember. I was like, okay, yeah. I guess I was just listening. I guess I should have said something. No, I was bitching with everybody else.
I think you were gesturing, towards the
and
closed
so
door.
Here finally on the screen we see. I think is this. Yeah, I think this is the fictionalized version of that.
I don't think this is it yet, is
It's
it?
not.
Yeah.
This isn't yet.
Sort of establishing.
Yeah, she knows he's fine.
There we go.
Incidentally, the first draft of this script, when I finally did it, was basically, it was about 10% Dave and 90% everyone else expressing how horribly they felt over what they'd done.
Really? I didn't
And it was
remember
not funny.
Do you remember? Was the idea for the script? I remember that thing that we had to work a little to figure out is what they would actually be bitching about Dave about because we didn't want to make it like really nasty. So
Right.
in fact, this must be it.
Oh, this is it, yeah.
I'll tell you what, though.
What are they
From now
bitching
on, I'm
about?
going to take the bus, and I will be charging the station.
They're bitching
You
about
can
the
count
bus.
on that. Now, Sean.
Remember that?
What about the mug today?
Hold on, I'm sorry. I was watching the show. For a second. Oh yeah, here it is. As if that would actually hurt Dave's
Yeah, I know.
feelings.
Cab rides, Matthew. Can't actually put my mug down, or I'll
It's amazing how good Don Knotts looks after all these years.
So I guess the things they found to make fun of Dave about were his drinking coffee and his looking like a boy.
Yeah, it was how youthful he was. Yeah, the coffee thing.
You know, I really liked that shot. I never realized before that you could see Dave's face so well down there.
Good shot.
Good shot. Nice shot.
Oh yeah,
This is a new twist, though. The bitch session in the office of the bitchy himself.
that's right.
Ripped from today's headlines.
It was the most horrible thing ever.
Hey, Lisa, tell us the truth. Dave buys his suits in the little boys department,
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
he?
fine. Brian, well done.
I don't think we
Thank
got
you
that.
very much.
I don't think we got
writing
that personal with
No, we
Paul
didn't.
as far as
No.
we're making fun of his dress or
Yeah, not my
sexual
way I looked.
preferences or
Yeah, none of that.
anything like that. No, not really.
No, it was more just about my mental health and how I was running the show. You know.
And we were such, good judges
Yeah.
because we were all in such stellar mental health
Absolutely,
ourselves.
absolutely.
I think he looks more like a
I like this.
very handsome young executive.
It's funny. I do remember though that period at the show, like the first 7 episodes we did. It was me, Brad, Josh, and Joe Fury, and it was fun, and it was like the honeymoon period, and it was the first half of the second season was probably the hardest part I think of the whole, next 4 years because we had a different director every week, and that was hard for the cast, and the cast was getting frustrated, and I don't know, we were pretty far behind on scripts. We hadn't really used our preparatory time very well. That's funny.
No, it was the honeymoon was over, and we were learning to.
Actually do 22 episodes.
Yes.
And
Yes. We stopped having sex.
and I thought I dealt with it pretty well. I quit and went to Mexico for 4 months.
Well, what else can a man do in that
It's
situation?
the way I was raised. It's basically just turn and run. So
That was very sad. That was a sad breakup.
That was a sad breakup.
That was sad. You left. You stuck around for like 2 more episodes, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 more episodes.
And then I said when we talked, and it was still a painful memory of sitting in your office and talking and the guilt I really feel is I think we were all going through whatever we were going through, but you seem to be in some bit of pain about something or whatever, and you get so narcissistic and stuff, and I just it wasn't until after I'd quit that I realized I'd sort of kind of left you. Not that you didn't have Josh and all these other good people around you, but I'd left you when you were maybe going through a tough period, and that's the thing I feel guilty about. Honestly, is that. I
that's
didn't
true.
quite see that.
Yeah, because you'd been there since the beginning, and
My God, this is beautiful.
it did make it hard. But on the other hand, it was also. I mean, I have to admit, it was. This was now. What was this now? 8 years ago or something. But
And this is the first time we've talked about it, by the way.
this genuinely is the first time Brad and I have talked about this. We thought we'd save it for the DVD. But the other thing is, still would have been kind of hard for us to keep working together because, I felt bad about that thing, and I know you felt awkward. Like even for the next 2 weeks you were there, we would kind of try to be businesslike and, all right, let's discuss this on page 2, and it was, it's just one of those situations where someone needs to go to Mexico for a few months. Hey, there's Kent Zabornak reprising his role as waiter dude.
The more I think about it, the more I seem to remember that I didn't bitch at all. I think it was all Brad.
You keep going back and forth.
The more I remember.
And Brian, this was the first script you wrote for the show, wasn't it?
Did this come first or Friends? I think Friends was the first one I did with Josh.
Oh, that may be
This
true.
is the first one I did solo.
Yeah, Brian unfortunately turned in a Friends episode for his first assignment, which everybody was too nice to say anything, so we
just shot it, and it ended up being one of the best ones we ever did.
It wasn't bad.
Our Chandler was better.
The one where Chandler is named Dave. So, Paul, this is based on a real lunch you had with Brad Gray, right?
This part I don't think happened. No. Although no, you know what? I do remember talking to Brad on the phone about the incident.
We did talk about it after. I mean, it
we
wasn't,
did sort of, but it was so awkward at that time.
Well, and we weren't. We were minimalists in some aspects and
that's
not
true.
so much in other aspects. But as far as like sitting down and like talking about our feelings and things like that, we
left that aside. We saved that for now.
Exactly.
It'll entertain someone somewhere.
Yeah, my memory is that we had that talk, and I said, look, I'll stay around like another 6 weeks or whatever it was through Christmas or something like that. And after a couple of weeks of, like you were saying, this awkward kind of tiptoeing around each other, I remember he just came in my office one day and he said, I don't want to be like, a jerk or anything, but maybe you should just leave.
I don't remember that.
And I said, yeah, you're probably right.
That's terrible.
I'd already sort of like, screwed the pooch. It wasn't going to get any better. I wasn't gonna...
Oh my God.
Maybe just take your crap and go to Mexico.
Pack up your crap and get down to Mexico. Well,
because of this, I have a beautiful 7-year-old son I've never seen living down in Cabo San Lucas.
I do remember though that the week after you quit, it was like it was basically the first week I'd ever done the show without you there and everything. And while we were doing the show, I never drank, and everyone would always go out to the bar after the taping to have drinks, and I would never go just because I don't know. But so Brad was gone, and I finally thought, you know what, because I think it was also alarming for the cast because they all really liked Brad and that he quit, and they knew that there was tensions and all that. And I remember the week after he was gone, I thought, you know what, this time after the taping, I'm going to go down and have a drink with everyone, And I went down, and there was Brad. Wasn't working at the show anymore, but he still showed up for the drinks afterwards.
I'm a quitter, not an idiot. I mean, that was the most fun part of the show.
I think after you quit, Brad, you went straight to the bar, and you didn't leave. This was a week later.
Oh, is this the scene where they're drunk?
Yeah.
I like this. I usually I usually don't like it when actors play drunk because it always usually seems a little too broad to me. But the way Brian wrote this scene,
Yeah, thanks.
bam.
With a little help from Foster Brooks, his father.
Oh, now Foster Brooks, the estate of Foster Brooks is going to sue us. It's terrible.
And the estate of
Fortunately, they're
Brooks
all too
Robinson.
drunk to do it.
Oh, now they're going to sue us for that.
Oh,
It's just a character he
shoot.
plays.
I think it's written though. Jimmy had his coat in his right hand. I'm not.
Does that frustrate you still after all these years?
It's all the little things that ruin these shows.
Isn't it, if you have your coat on your left hand, isn't it, that's your gay? And if you have
Oh.
the
I
coat on your
forgot.
right hand, or is that, am I confused?
Now we're going to get sued by someone else.
By the people who hold coats certain ways. Yeah. Oh, he's so young.
Who?
Dave Foley.
It's a good thing that we can't see how we've aged.
No, I look good.
Yeah, we all look great.
Brian, tell us more about writing this script.
Well, it was a process that it consumed hours. And,
Hang on, Dave, you were hiding under the desk the whole time? You didn't tell me that.
It was kind of unintentional.
Oh, I see, okay.
Did I come up with the idea, or did we all say we should do something about that? Or I
no,
guess
Paul said, as punishment, Brian has to write an episode. He literally was like, it was pretty much exactly that. As punishment, you have to write an episode based on that whole incident. Because I was the one guy who didn't apologize because I was hoping just to slip through the cracks.
is that true?
Yep.
Why didn't you apologize?
I still never have. I'm not about to.
Right now would be the perfect moment.
Don't do it, Rob.
I'm just saying.
Listen, there's no tape in that machine, so none of this is being recorded. It doesn't matter if I apologize.
What a healthy work environment.
I remember it'd be a better story if I was in Mexico for this, but I remember watching, because I would watch the news radios after I left, and and this might have been one of the first ones I don't know, second one maybe. I turn this on and I look at it, and I realize what the story is, and I literally just sort of had to walk out of my own house and kind of go, man, it's still kind of painful. And my first thought was like, Paul's trying to get back at me. And I thought, no, he's not. He's right. It reminded me of the old, I read in the old Andy Griffith's show book. They talk about how they would everybody would, it was all about their own experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And I always sort of like that.
I don't know if anyone listening out there, it's a great experience being caught bitching about the man who basically you owe your entire career up to that point to. That's nice.
Hold it. I thought you said a few seconds ago you didn't do any of the bitching.
I mean,
your story is
Brian.
very inconsistent.
I'm talking for Brian, of course.
I think we already mentioned this, but but to me, one of the funniest things about it was how new Brian was at the job, and he just happened to sort of be sitting in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And like I had been fired at my previous job, so I was just waiting to get canned.
And it must have been horrible because we were all really close. And even though you knew these guys, Josh and Paul, it must have been a little awkward trying to fit into something that intimate. And then your second day there, we're all standing around bitching about Paul. You must have been kind of confused.
When you stab enough people in the back, eventually you sort of learn. You learn the ropes. There's nothing new.
Is there a B story here? What?
Who cares?
He's Joe's.
Brian, what is this B story you cooked up for this episode?
This is, I think, the voice changer, isn't it?
Oh yes, it was.
Was this the
An
first
effect
time-
that never worked that satisfactorily.
Was this the first time we saw Jimmy's office?
This is the first time, and I think one of only two times.
The other was the cane, where they're all sitting on the floor.
Nope, the one with the spear gun.
Well, then that's three then.
Well, the cane definitely, which
They
is
just
before
remember they're
this.
sitting
Oh,
around.
yeah,
There's no
that's right.
furniture. He wants them
that's
to have
right.
the annual powwow sort of thing. Yeah.
It always comes back to the cane.
That
with
was
you,
in the
doesn't it?
cane episode. I remember loving the cane part of the cane episode, but I remember the scene when they were all sitting on the floor. I don't even remember what the story was.
Didn't
They
they
all
come-
had to come up with
They
ideas.
sort of
Yeah.
shoved the Dave Lisa story in there that probably
Looking
would have been.
often, I think we did have to. We
were trying to
didn't
keep
have
that
to.
arc
we,
going,
Keep
but-
the Dave Lisa thing going. We would end up shoving in. I think for me, the cane episode should have just been have had twice as much cane material in it.
I couldn't agree more. And by the way, the people of Mexico support me wholly on that. That's their favorite
Oh,
episode.
look, we did a spin-off episode, The Cane, and it didn't get picked up.
This, I do remember really liking the ending of this this episode when.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't like it that much.
Yeah, but that's Brian. You wrote fade behind or something, and Paul had to change it to fade out.
Yeah.
Paul, no one touched any of my words.
Come on.
Yep. My words leap off the page always.
It's all right.
Bill McNeil shows a little compassion and
Were you
sincerity.
pleased with? Were you pleased with the critical response to this episode, Brian?
Oh, very.
Critics were kind to you on this one.
When you got word of the nomination, what was your reaction?
It was. I really don't have an answer for that. I can't even laugh about the lack of critical acclaim.
See, the joke's on Brian. There actually was no nomination. I was just.
I can laugh at
making that
Paul's hurt
up.
feelings, but not.
But the fact that this show was never recognized as it should have been.
Good. Well,
There we go. Yeah, see, this is the part I like that Dave's high, that he did Dave, to hear that the people really liked him.
That's great.
The audience liked it too, apparently.
See, it has a happy ending, just like in real life.
Yeah.
All four of us are living in a big house together now. And
It's just that the happy ending for our real life story took 8 years, and we're doing it in the recording studio right now. But
And quite frankly, it still hurts, doesn't it?
quite frankly, no, it does.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? Now I'm good. When we started this session, it was still hurting, and now 22 minutes later, it's catharsis. It's finally. I think we finally worked it all
I
out.
feel I cannot wait for this.
Now, Brad,
This to
pack up
end.
your crap and go to Mexico.
Can I just say that I think the story of the making of this episode will reach and touch more people than this episode.
That's probably true.
It's over, Gooper.
And this is the other thing that made me really like this ending. That he tried to do the same thing for Lisa, but it didn't work.
Didn't quite work for her.
No response from audience.
Yeah. You know what? Call him Pumpkin. He likes that.
That's
That's what his mother calls him.
Yeah, but his mom's really hot.
Yeah, we never followed up on that thread, did we?
The Jimmy liking.
The mom thing? That was basically dropped, I think, after. I think I took that to Mexico with me. I said.
That was
"Paul,
one of the
that's
things you
mine."
put in your bag. Yeah.
No,
You
that
know
was
what? We'll split up all the assets. You can keep the show, but I'm keeping the joke about Jimmy like his mother. Just someday I may be able to make something of it.
Now we went to that well a lot.
We did, but it started to seem a little kind of unpleasant that Dave would walk in and Jimmy would be talking to his mom. But funny.
I know you guys watching can't see this, but we're hugging each other so tightly right now. It's really beautiful.